And I'm so excited to get Peter on. This is like Christmas for me. It really is. This is like Christmas, your birthday, your kid's birthday, your anniversary, all rolled into one day. I'm 60 years old. I've been fighting these bad trade deals for 40 years. I never thought I would see a day like today, ever in my life. And the president doubling and quadrupling down on his trade policies, bringing America jobs back, and it's just a great day that he has stood by everything he said he was going to do. Peter Naravrro, right at the epicenter of it. He's right there in the middle. I mean, wouldn't you love to be him? Look, if you believe in bringing American jobs back and American manufacturing, and you've been studying this like me, and you know how we've been screwed for 40 years on this stuff, today is a day to go down in history. Peter Naravrro is coming up momentarily. And so I just want to tell you that the economy booming along today. Trump economy adds another 223,000 jobs. That's up from 160 in April, 1,000 jobs. Unemployment down to 3.8%, down the lowest it's been in 50 years. Plus, here's the untold story. The number of people entering the job market that have dropped out. Here's the other thing that nobody talks about in the legacy media. They'd rather talk about Stormy Daniels. Okay? This is off the radar screen. The number of former felons, people that were in jail and got out, who have gotten a job is up 700% in the past 6 months. That, you talk about prison reform, recidivism. I mean, that means that there's jobs available. People are getting second chances. This is a booming economy. And here's the other thing. Hourly private sector earnings up again. Wages going up 2.7%, up in April 2.6%. It's a banner day. And it's almost like, it's like the pick six of the trade weasel whiners, right? All in the same montage. You got Mexico whining, Trudeau whining, the European Union, Germany, the Chi-Coms, and Goldman Sachs. That is like the pick six of the trade whiners in America. It's a banner day. I'm having too much fun. Joining us now, my hero, Peter Naravrro. He's the director of the Office and Trade and Manufacturing Policy and a senior advisor to President Trump. Peter, it's great to have you, man.
Hey, John, this is just the prelude to July 4th. Forget about this Christmas stuff. July 4th, Independence Day. Make America great again.
It really is. I don't know how you pulled this off because, you know, a week ago.
I didn't pull it off. The president pulls it off. Hey, John, let me explain something to you.
Go ahead.
In June of 2016, in Pittsburgh, the president made 7 promises to the American people about exactly what we was going to do on trade policy. And all the president is doing is fulfilling those promises. Promises made, promises kept. He promised to put tariffs on aluminum and steel to defend our industries so we would have a country. You can't have a country without aluminum and steel industries. He promised to crack down on China stealing our technology. He's doing that with his 301. He promised to crack down on any unfair trade practices. He did it with the solar panels and the washing machines. And what's happening, John, is a beautiful thing. We've got money, both domestic money and foreign money, coming in, building facilities, factories that are going to make stuff with American hands. Beautiful thing.
Yeah, I mean, if you take the car industry, the president isn't saying, I don't want you to buy a Volkswagen or a BMW or a Mercedes or one of those other vehicles, the Italian vehicle. I'm not saying you can't buy that. I'm saying that either they build a plant here in the United States and employ our people, or we pay a 29% tariff to sell a Ford truck there. They pay 2.5%. So our workers get screwed. It doesn't make any sense, right?
Yeah, you know, the first thing they say is, oh, we're your allies. How can you do this to us? Well, guess what, Europe? Here's what you're doing to us. You sell a Beamer here, send it over from Germany, it's 2.5% tariff, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe a 5 to 10% sales tax, depending on where you live. You try to send a Ford or a General Motors car over there, it's, first of all, it's a 19% value-added tax, 19%, and a 10% tariff. So that's not fair in reciprocal trade. Don't tell us that you're our friends. Every time that we send more of our money over there, we're sending our jobs over there. So all the president wants, all President Trump wants, is reciprocity, to fairness, and we're going to get it.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is the other thing. When they all whine at the same time, you know you've done something right? And that's why it's like this is like the pick six of trade policy, because we got them all six of them complaining in the same day. And look, Peter, I know there's a lot of pressure, and you got Goldman Sachs, Wall Street, a lot of money flows in, Republican donors. I get it. I've been fighting this battle like you have for 4 decades, right? So I get it. But look, these people at Wall Street, I'm going to be quite frank, they don't really care about if you have a job or not. They care about what's their quarterly earnings of the stocks they picked and how much money will their bonus be. Meantime, people can't get jobs. You take the steel and the aluminum industry, they're complaining now, well, costs are going to go up. Based on what metric is that, okay? Because right now what you've got the Chinese government subsidizing their steel industry with Chinese confiscated tax dollars, dumping the steel and the aluminum in the United States. And Peter, it's like the president said, how do you have a country if you can't make steel?
Yeah, it's really amazing how Wall Street tries to dominate this debate, and it's a powerful force, and it is the swamp. And the president has done a very courageous thing, standing up to them. It's not easy. I'm telling you, it's not easy for this president to do what he's doing on behalf of the working men and women of this country who don't have the big lobbyists on K Street. But you know what? He's doing what's best for this country and what's right for this country. And I'm telling you, it's working. I mean, you saw two things I'll tell you about. Today, the jobs report came out. It's like 3.8% unemployment. Manufacturing jobs are outperforming anything they've done in the past 10 or 15 years. So that's all good. And today there's a piece of USA Today which is about a groundbreaking that's taking place in Appalachia, John. Okay, Appalachia. They're building a new aluminum rolling mill because of the President Trump's tariff and tax policies. Now check this out. The median household income in Ashland is $44,000, well below the national average. The starting salary for one job at that mill is $66,000. So the theme of the article is that no president has done more to win the war on poverty than Donald Trump since Lyndon Johnson declared it back in the 60s. And think about it. We got African-American and Latino unemployment at historic lows, and we're going into places like Hawesville, Kentucky, and Ashland and building these aluminum and steel plants. It's a beautiful thing, John.
And it's a war on poverty the way it was meant to be, by providing jobs and opportunity for people so they can lift themselves out.
This is a hand up, not a handout. These are great jobs. And you know what? What's cool about this, John, is that this is a kind of a holistic approach. In addition to the tax policies and tariff policies driving this and incentivizing these investments, the Secretary of Labor, Acosta, he's a great guy. He's a great American. He's working hard on these apprenticeship programs to build up the skills of Americans so they can take the jobs that we create. And so this whole package down in Ashland and Appalachia also has this worker training component. And so all of this is happening all around the country, whether it's Granite City, Illinois, or Hawesville, Kentucky, or Ashland. It's a good thing.
I tell you what, and now you're looking at the numbers, and once these tariffs take root and these, whatever you want to call them, trade partners, tough to be in a partnership when you're getting, screwed, but I guess, I don't know what you would call them, associates or something.
We literally have the lowest tariffs and non-tariff barriers in the world by a country mile. And we have a humongous trade deficit. Now, those two things aren't unrelated, right?
Right.
I mean, how do you basically have balanced trade and you have the jobs you should have here in manufacturing if your partners and allies basically are charging more for your exports than we're charging for their imports? I mean, it's just the math isn't working. And you know what's remarkable about this China thing, John? I mean, look, China's been taking our stuff. They steal it. When an American company goes over to Chinese soil and want to sell to the Chinese people, the American company's got to hand over their technology. It's called force transfer. So they steal it, they force it. They evade our export controls, which is designed to prevent the Chinese Communist Party from acquiring militarily sensitive weapons to use possibly against us. Mm-hmm. And they're bringing in big bags of money from our Walmart dollars. They're state-backed funds, sovereign wealth funds, coming in and scouring places like Silicon Valley for the creme de la creme of small companies engaged in the industries of the future that we're going to need in order to be prosperous. Artificial intelligence, robotics, blockchain technology, advanced manufacturing. So what is it about this country that we elected presidents Obama, Bush, Clinton, and all of this was happening before their eyes, and they never did anything about it? In fact, it's worse than that. Clinton was the one who got China into the World Trade Organization and created the economic juggernaut that it is on the backs of working men and women in America and the rest of the world.
Yeah, that was the other big lie, Peter. I mean, there's a lot of lies out there that, Wall Street sends down on you, and then they get their think tanks which they fund to do white papers on them. But that was the other big lie. Well, if you bring China into the World Trade Organization and you give them access to global markets, then everything is going to change, right? Then they're going to see the value. They're going to be a good world citizen,
and peaceful.
That's right.
How's that working out?
Oh, my goodness. You're on the John Fredericks Radio Network, Trucking the Truth Across America, live in Washington, D.C., where talking to Peter Naravrro at the White House. He is the director for the president of the Office of Trade and Manufacturing Policy. And, you talk about the trade deficit, Peter. That money that goes out, even if you just take the $500 billion trade deficit with China, so everybody knows what this means. This is $500 billion of U.S. cash going from the United States a year, going from the United States to Beijing, right? Going from here to there. And when they talk about, there's going to be a trade war, well, we're already in one. We're getting our ass kicked. I mean, now we're fighting back. It's like now we've actually, we have an offensive. I mean, we have actually, put a tank on the field. The whole thing is ridiculous.
Yeah, well, this issue of China basically acquiring the crown jewels of American technology and intellectual property is a very, very serious matter to the American people. And to the extent that the American people better understand this whole issue, I think they'll better understand why it is so important for this president and this administration to act on this issue with the appropriate tariffs and investment restrictions that are going to be put in place this month. Because we can't allow what's going on, John. It's just, it baffles me, the people who think that trade deficits don't matter. I hear this all the time. It baffles me because if we're losing basically $500 billion a year over a decade, basically, that adds up to trillions and trillions of dollars in foreigners' pockets who come back, and what do? They buy up America. They buy up our houses, our farmland, our companies. They buy our treasury bonds, which, I mean, that's good in a way because it helps us fund our big budget deficits, although that's not good in and of itself. But what it does is it requires the American taxpayer to finance the interest payments that are going out to those foreigners rather than to use that money for things like public works projects, highways, new airports, new internet. I mean, President Trump is really seeing the chessboard. He's making the right moves, and we all got to support that because Wall Street's going to try to shake us.
Well, look, it happened 2 weeks ago, Peter Naravrro. I did a column on it, and I don't want to air, dirty laundry, but I know you were involved in a heated discussion and different policy views I was singing your praises then. But, Wall Street, Goldman Sachs put a lot of pressure on certain people in the White House. I'm not going to mention names. And, somebody comes out and says, well, we cut the deal. China says they're going to cut the deal and they're going to cut the deficit in half. By when? Well, sometime. How? Well, it's all coming. And you know what? This is the same lies they've been telling us. It's like when Obama tried to negotiate the Paris Accords with them, and they said, yeah, we'll stop building coal plants in about 20 years, maybe. It's ridiculous.
It really doesn't parse. But, we do have a marker for this. Back over a year ago now, we signed a deal with them for them to buy more beef, right? Mm-hmm. It was hailed at the time as a great deal for America, this, that, and the other thing. But the reality is, they have, where's the beef? They really haven't fulfilled that obligation. So you wonder if you scale that up and they promise to buy, say, $100 billion worth of stuff. I mean, you wonder how much of that is promise and how much of that would ever translate into actuality.
No, there's
a track record here.
So they just stall for time.
We're going into this clear-eyed, and President's doing exactly what needs to be done for this country.
And exactly what he said he was going to do, and exactly what he promised he would do. But, Peter, I got to tell you, I'm so happy that you're there, and I know you're fighting for us, and you're fighting for the things that we believe in, and you're fighting, because, look, you have competing views on a staff. That's the way the president likes it. He likes to have competing people.
It's healthy, John. It's healthy. He needs that.
That's how he's run his businesses.
On that. It's a good
so
thing.
that's his style. So in that kind of an environment, for American workers and for jobs and for sovereignty and for future wage growth, we need Peter Naravrro in that job, and they're fighting for what he believes in, which shares our view that you have to put American jobs ahead of everything else. Peter, thank you. Great job. I really appreciate the time.
All right, great show, John. You keep knocking it out of the park there.
All right, Peter Naravrro, the Director of Office of Trade and Manufacturing Policy for President Trump, Senior White House Advisor. Peter, have a good weekend. Thanks for being with us. We, my friends, will see you Saturday, 10 a.m. live, 5th District bonus coverage. Keep it right.